Robots taking all jobs is a fantasy for rich countries with safety nets and trust. I don't think we're in a position to talk about either. Post labor economics is a technology take on the future where automation is all about scaling fast, crushing manual tasks, and enabling abundance. I think in theory, it sounds pretty good, but power is going to block it ultimately. Data for sure will be a problem, and biased opinions will be ultimately the reason politics can't move past widespread adoption. So I'm going to present to you the data and the politics on why. If you're joining for the first time, make sure you like and subscribe, join the channel, and check out the rest of the content. 1979, there's been a major productivity increase in the United States based off technological advancements and other advancements in policy and shifts with population ability to kind of enter the workforce. The 80% increase since 1979, right? In productivity alone. There's a 29.4% increase in wage growth since the same time period. As you can see clearly, those numbers are widely different. Makes a huge impact on the folks who are in the Labor Party or the Labor affiliated population. Gains from company shareholders and gains from those who are in power. It goes into profits, buybacks, and assets without bargaining power for the Labor Party or tax capacity, to establish better taxes for the labor side. Productivity shifts or gains here are just gonna go straight to the elite, not the leisure, right? Tech is all about how you can increase productivity or reallocate productivity, which is kind of what has happened during this time period. It's not replaced anything. It's not actually completely automated any of this work. Humans are very much still involved with most of this task. Policyholders, policymakers are supposed to be in charge of distribution. They're supposed to be handling how income will be distributed amongst the population. And there's just been a lot of complexity that's brought us to this place, right? So, is this possible because of point number one? I think strongly no. And I think from a historical point of view, if you're just being honest and listening to the reasons here, you also fundamentally agree as well. When it comes to institutions, they're moving slower than tech, right? Like, but that's just how tech works. That's how institutions work historically. I work in historical tech. I don't work in technology entities that are working, obviously in Silicon Valley or Manhattan. So if you're one of those folks who works there, we probably see things just a tad bit differently when it comes down to how to manage the future and what do you think is going to happen. But US, when we talk about benefits, they're fragmented and means tested with cliffs. Okay. So universal programs all need federal funding, all need federal law, they need durable funding, right? They need competent delivery for these things to see an impact on the future. If there is not this strong foundation, then you're not going to see these shifts actually occur. This becomes fantasy to me at that point. We lack all three of these in the current United States, right? We lack all three of these things in the current United States. I'm talking currently today, not as of like a historic means from some other time. Okay. The default path is contingent work and subcontracting. I mean, that's just true. If you've ever done business with the federal government, then my company does business with the federal government. We are subcontractors as well. So I would just tell you, if you have access to the data that we kind of have access to, and you kind of see these things, this becomes obvious. It becomes pretty obvious. Again, my background is based off of working in the industry in more of a hands-on capacity than some of the other influencers you might be knowing in this space who talk about this. Okay, um, so the legislative gridlock too, like it. I mean, let's just be honest, right? That no tech advancement in the next 5, 10, 15 years is going to clean up what you're looking at on a day-to-day basis on TV. So, tech is great, but it only helps when people are able to get along. And tech is all about people, right? So, point two, I just think I've kind of given you three great cases of why point two is that institutions just move slower than tech. So this is, post labor economics is a really hard subject to believe that it will become a popular and widely accepted idea. So when it comes to care work, this is something also very popular in the post-labor economics discussion. Care work and just other work surrounding this that could possibly become automated. Here in my analysis, though, again based on data that I'll be putting in the link, so you can get some of the specific studies to also just check out, and then applicable to my website, my company website. So do check out the description for details of my company, the data experts, and happy to engage. Like and subscribe to the video, help me grow the channel so that way we can get more attention to the conversations here. But elder care, health service, education, hospitality, these cannot be fully automated, right? And there's a strong incentive behind many of the people who work in this field and use these services who say they would never sign up for somebody who uses AI in these particular ways. There's actually going to be a premium rise, I think, with this, right? So if you work as like a human only organization, I think the price for these is going to be higher. And I think people will pay it. I'm just being honest. These sectors absorb displaced labor, but they offer lower wages and fewer protections. Tools assist, but trust and dignity remain human. Um, the net effect is task substitution, not mass job deletion. Okay. This is historical based evidence stuff again. Structural inequality kills universalism. Okay. Racial gaps persist at every educational level. Higher black unemployment, 20% wage gaps controlling for credentials. Callback discrimination is real, right? And hiring. We have data on this stuff. If you believe in the tech that we're talking about, data should be something that you're willing to at least read and interpret and see if there's some merit. Gender segregation concentrates on women. I mean, that's just true. Artificial intelligence has already displaced more women than men. There's strong data for that. Women in underpaid care and clerical roles are all obviously going to be super affected when voters are going to start to racialize their welfare here, right? Um, when they do racialize their welfare, political support will collapse in these areas. We've seen a lot of this stuff occur in many of the elections you just saw happen around the world or in the United States specifically. Low social trust is preventing universal redistribution. If there's no trust, there's no post labor social contract. So, in a heterogeneous society, this becomes a real big problem. Okay. Um, when we talk about point number four, we're gonna get pretty specific. Okay. So racism and sexism are blocking the social contract. Specifically, racial gaps persist. With all of these different things leading to AI capital concentration, where it's even more evident in some of the company distribution and the folks who get money, right? In Q2 2025, 86% of 29 billion in venture capital funding went to AI infrastructure, 25 billion went to foundational tools. The IMF was quoted as saying that capital income and wealth inequality is on the rise with AI adoption. Um, Displacement risk are spreading across many occupations. Capital gains concentrate predictably at the top, and venture funding patterns reveal priorities. The money is not flowing towards worker benefits. It is flowing already right now to um, things that only benefit owners. It's not going to worker benefits. It's not going to training programs. It's not going to income redistribution mechanisms. Okay, that historical pattern is just going to reveal itself in even worse situation. The historical pattern is that technological revolutions concentrate wealth first. Pioneers capture outsized gains. Those who are laggards will fall behind. Without explicit redistribution policy, labor losses become relative to the power that is gained, right? And expect the AI adoption curve to mirror prior waves, but with a much steeper and faster acceleration. Okay. Um, I think that covers point five. Okay. We'll go over point six. Couple things that we'll just kind of go through here. And that's the plumbing problem that exists. This is where I'm actually very much the more professional I think just person in my life that I could speak on rather than economics, although I do have an economics degree. Um, when it comes to the plumbing for artificial intelligence, social I'm sorry, software development and data engineering, data science, the work that happens to enable these things at companies, there's quite a big problem with the plumbing. I have made my professional career for the last 15 years on not having to or being the person who's helping companies transition from being on premises configurations into cloud based configurations. So the plumbing, that is the situation. I've been working as the plumber for these situations for quite a while. Artificial intelligence, for it to be truly effective and capitalize on your data as a company, your plumbing has to be super great. The problem now is that it's not. Okay. So, number one, the fragmented data estates, right? There are siloed ERPs, customer relationship systems, EMRs, and shadow IT situations. A video I just made about this prior. Go check it out if you haven't seen that. But shadow IT that prevents cross domain um, automation, and AI cannot connect these insights or optimize across these functions because of these issues. So artificial intelligence is completely hampered at at enterprises or medium-sized businesses that are regulated to having to be able to do all of those steps. There's weak governance infrastructure at pretty much every company. I've made a great living off of this. I know many engineers and architects who do. There's weak governance at every company almost. Like no shared ontology, poor data lineage, missing master data management, and models learn from junk, propagate bias, and evade auditing, right? Auditing is going to be the number one area that you have to, as a business, be ready to respond when it's time for that season. And if you are working as a medium sized to large or large business that goes through auditing, you know about this, right? So compliance and legal bottlenecks as well. PII, PHI, sector specific rules, vendor lock in. I mean, these are numerous issues, right? Legal risk is going to slow deployment to high touch front lines where productivity gains would actually help workers. There's a measurement failure as well and a vendor theater kind of going on, right? No casual instrumentation linking AI wins to wages or off or time off policies. Leaders cannot prove worker value, so savings revert to margin expansion and buybacks. Co-pilots layered on broken workflows amplify sludge, not value. So the net result here is that even when AI technically works, bad enterprise architecture routes, they surplus to capital and overhead, right? Not to wages, not leisure, not worker security. Abundance is technologically possible, but institutionally blocked. So, what would actually need to change for these things to become effective? Well, progressive capital taxation, right? We talked about this a little earlier, but the idea of progressive capital taxation, close arbitrage loopholes. You got to close these arbitrage loopholes. You also have to really tax wealth in certain ways and capital gains meaningfully, right? Universal low friction benefits, no cliffs, simple delivery, automatic enrollment. That just seems pretty obvious. But, since the mid 70s, health insurance has been legally allowed to make a profit. It's arguable we should revisit the idea that maybe the business model needs to change. When it comes to rebuilding the worker power, I mean, that's essential as well. And then fixing enterprise data infrastructure. I mean, this is public government stuff too. I've worked in the government. I have public sector work that we do at our company. Check the link in the bio if you're interested for more information. And like and subscribe as well so we can get more attention to the conversation here. But if you have appreciated the conversation here around post labor economics, drop a comment, let me know. I'm happy to do more content kind of talking about this. Only because again, it's become quite a popular topic, right? I've heard quite a few people who've been interested in kind of talking about it. Comes up in meetings now, like at work, right? So I have folks who ask all the time, like, what is our opinion? How do we feel? And I did film one video earlier this summer about it. Doesn't have literally any likes on it right now or views. But if you're interested, check it out. I'll link it in this video as well. And I appreciate you stopping by.